I'm Laura Lawton with Lawton Printing Services. Welcome to Candidate Confidential. We're happy to have you join us. We're happy to join Spokane Talks Online for this important civic service. The Lawton team has been serving the Inland Northwest for over 77 years. What keeps us motivated is the continuous evolution of our company to better serve the clients we work with every day. We are also fortunate to have so many people willing to step up to serve our communities. Being a candidate and civil servant is too often a thankless job. I know you join me in thanking these forward-thinking individuals for their dedication to us all. With that, I thank you for taking the time to learn more about the people who want to lead our communities. Enjoy the debate and give Lawton a call for any of your marketing, printing, or mailing needs. Thank you.
Welcome to Spokane Talks Online, Candidate Confidential. And I'm Rich Cowan. I'm joining the segment by Mr. Odin Langford, who's running for City Council position number 4.
Good evening. That's correct.
Great. And you do have an opponent in this position, but she has chosen not to join us in the conversation. So it'll just be the two of us. And this is for City Council of the City of Liberty Lake.
You got it.
And we'll get right into these issues right after these breaks.
Proposition 2 is not about politics. It's about protecting Spokane's economy.
I'm opposed to Proposition 2.
I'm opposed to Prop 2.
I'm opposed to Proposition 2.
Proposition 2 just doesn't make sense.
I am opposing Proposition 2.
I'm against Proposition 2.
I'm opposed to Proposition 2.
I'm opposed to Prop 2 because we have to protect Spokane's economy.
Well, we're back, and we're going to get right into the issues here. And the first issue we're going to talk about, Mr. Langford, is law enforcement and crime concerns. Maybe let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of the issues out there regarding law enforcement?
You know, we're very fortunate in the city of Liberty Lake. We have an excellent police chief. Our officers are extremely well trained, and we're very proud of our law enforcement division. Our crimes are mostly what you'll see in bedroom communities, thefts, little auto theft. They call it larceny when they lift it out of a car that's been left unlocked. But any of the major events, our detectives have closed out really quick. And matter of fact, I'm not aware of anything of any major issue that is still outstanding.
So how big is the police department out there?
We have 8 officers.
8 officers.
Yes,
and is that enough
chief.
to cover a 24/7 shift?
It is. It is. Personally, I'd like to see some more officers out there. Having come from that background, I understand what it's like to work 12 hours a day, having to be out there on the midnight shift, sometimes by yourself, getting into positions that you need backup and having to wait for the county to show up or the Spokane Valley. So I would personally like to see a little bit more. Right now we're running the average of 1 officer for every 1,000 people. So we're right at 8,000 to 9,000 population, and respectively we have about 8 officers, which is the national.
You mentioned you have mutual aid agreements with the county and other municipalities that are close by.
You know, I'm not sure about the other municipalities. I think it's primarily with the county because they're the largest resource as well as the closest.
Mm-hmm. And what about fire?
Fire department, we're so well taken care of. I got to tell you, Liberty Lake is just blessed. We have a outstanding fire department, Spokane Valley Fire Department, and their chief, who just not too long ago took over. He came from California. Talk about knowing what to do and how to do it. He is great. We've got mutual aid set up. They worked on the EMT situations to make sure that the houses are staffed with well-trained EMTs. They're moving forward with some trials to put smaller units of EMTs in the firehouses that will respond first before having to take the big truck out. So they're liable to show up on ambulatory calls just in a small pickup truck, you know. But it's wonderful.
Are there any issues then with fire, with staffing, or
No,
anything
no.
you'd like to change
No,
regarding?
not a thing. Well, they just are in the process of building a brand new fire station. They were over off of Harvard next to the Liberty Lake sewer plant. And now they're moving over to Appleway right across from Home Depot. So that station should be opened in November. You ought to stop by and take
Yeah,
a
I'd love
look.
to.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
So regarding law enforcement, fire, things like that, you're kind of status quo is kind of what I'm hearing.
We're good.
Really.
We're good.
Uh-huh.
But let me tell you something. You have to give it to the men that are out there working. Those are the people whose lives are on the line, and they're taking really good care of the citizens.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to utilities and taxes.
Sure.
And maybe describe a little bit about how it's set up right now in Liberty Lake.
Right. When you talk about taxes, everybody takes a negative connotation about it. In actuality, what is taking place is that those funds that everyone pays goes into a large pot or two and then goes back to the community for the resources that they want. For example, the property tax. Right now, out of all the households that we have in Liberty Lake, they'll pay their property tax once or twice a year, and the money we get from that funds only one department of the city, and that's the police department. So that police department draws 100% of the property tax revenue.
Now, do you see a need to change that at all in terms of the rates, or is there anything you're advocating for regarding that?
You know, rates are a funny thing. Anytime somebody says, let's raise the rates, okay, your rate just went down.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but we have the opportunity to roll forward 1% annual.
Right.
And a lot of times, since I've been on the council, the city council has said, no, let's just bank it. Let's don't roll it forward. And with the economics like they are now, I believe that with the services that our residents demand, they will want the extra dollars to come in, especially when they realize that every time they pay that property tax bill, the next police officer that's coming to their house or to their neighborhood, that's what it's being covered by. So it's not being, you know, it's not a frivolous expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very proud of the fact that we can do that. However, that leaves us with the other type of income that we have, the other revenue,
Mm-hmm.
which is sales tax
Okay.
and the utility tax.
Yeah.
Right now, we're riding high on the sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
The RV sales have been going through. We got a couple high-end automobile
Yep.
distributorships.
Yes, you do.
And they've been doing really well. So we're having income come in for that. The utility tax is bringing in right around $600,000 a
Okay.
year. It's not a lot, but in the wisdom of the collective body of the city council, what they've decided to do is to take that utility tax money
Mm-hmm.
and again cover one significant area, and that is roads.
Okay.
That is paying for those roads
Yeah.
that are always being maintained. You don't lose an axle in it, and you can be proud when you drive through just by looking at the roads and knowing that that is part of what makes Liberty Lake Liberty Lake.
So it's sort of like a direct connection between the tax you're paying and the service you're getting.
It is.
Yeah. Which is
That's
a nice
all it is.
approach.
It
Yeah.
is. But the other side to that coin, Rich, is the fact that when the money's gone, the money's gone. Okay? I mean,
Right.
we don't have a lot of money set aside for nicety.
So is there something you want to change? Are you advocating in this campaign to change that?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Maybe talk
We
about that.
we have in the dedicated reserve fund, we have about $1.2 million.
Okay.
we're required by law to have right around 800,000 in the general fund. In their general fund reserve balance, we have almost 4 million. Okay? Not a lot of cities can say that.
Of that size.
Of
That's
that
very
size.
impressive.
But we're looking at about 6 years it took us to get into that position.
Right.
And we didn't get in that position by building, project. We got that way because we took a conservative approach to saving the people money, because we know that it's not, the great times don't last.
You're going to have a downturn at some point.
Absolutely.
And you want to be able to provide those same services
Absolutely.
to people. Yeah.
So I think what we need to do, and my major push for 2018,
Okay.
will be to sit down with the council and make sure that we have a strategic plan, not only for 2018, but for 5 to 10 years out,
Okay.
that covers not only taxes and roads and
Yeah.
parks and playgrounds,
Right.
but what they need to do is say, within the Parks Department, we have a tractor. How long is that tractor going to last us? And
Right.
when it gets replaced, how much is it going to cost?
Right.
You can't operate an $8 million to $12 million business without a plan.
Absolutely. And let's get into that now. Talk about long-term investments in equipment and replacing equipment when it starts becoming more of a nuisance in terms of maintenance, and just your overall vision for the city. Where do you see the city in 5 or 10 years? It's growing, it seems like.
It's growing. Our department that handles the building permits is going bonanza. Okay, they cannot keep up with it. And all you have to do is, anybody wants to know, just call the city or look online and look at underneath the Department of Income for building fees. It's astronomical. So we are growing. Maybe we're growing a little too fast. Okay,
You think so?
it's possible. It's
Okay.
possible. And the reason I say that is because I think it would be disingenuous of me to sit here and tell you that, no, I think we're doing everything just fine, having told you that we don't have a strategic plan. You can't run that kind of operation without.
Right.
You got to have the manual. So when we get that type of information, which we don't have, I think you're going to see a turnaround. I think you're going to see a slowing of growth by design.
Okay.
And that's what's important to me. Growing is one thing. It's inevitable. We're going to grow. But how we do it, where we do it, what manner it does, now you're talking about things that we can control. And it's time we step up and control.
Now, I have a question about the boundary of the city. Are you talking about growing in terms of boundary or just within the city limits?
Within the city limits that have already been laid out. We're separated by what we call the north side and the south side by the Interstate 90. Okay, the south side, we're just about there. Okay, the north side, actually, if I could describe it like a kid, we're right at the toddler stage. But pretty soon we're going to have teenagers. Okay, and that's a whole different program.
Right.
Okay, you handle that differently than you handle the beginning, and so on and so forth. So the majority of the growth is going to take place on the north side. And one thing that I personally won't tolerate, and I'll fight anybody, council or not, that doesn't agree that one of the most major components of growth is that we don't allow the north side to feel alienated from what's happening to the south just because they were first.
Gotcha. No,
Okay,
that's a good point.
They are as much part of Liberty Lake as the people in the south.
How do you accomplish that?
Several ways. We have a very large park on plans for them. We're going to be moving forward with that in 2018. It's called Orchard Park, and it'll have a little amphitheater. They'll have their movies at night, and it'll be theirs.
Kind of similar to what you do in the park.
Pavilion.
There, so, yeah, right.
Exactly. Matter of fact, it's about the same size as Pavilion.
Okay.
So there's a planned linear park that's going to be running along a portion of the river.
Okay.
I think that's going to be an attraction that we don't have on the south side. Okay. But at the same time, we need to make plans to make sure that they have the ability to get to the library, get to City Hall, okay, get to the park department, whatever they need. We need to either create one there for them or make sure they can get to this one.
So it sounds like that's one of the main ways to improve the cohesion.
It is. And one of the primary ways we're going to make sure that we stay connected, Jim, is that we're going to improve Harvard Road Bridge. Sure. And we're going to widen it. We're going to add a lane to it. We're going to get rid of some of that 5 o'clock traffic that's coming through from our Appleway zone. And I think you're going to see more smiles.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an old school kind of bridge there right now.
It is. Yeah. It's been there for a while.
Well, that's great. I'd like to give you another minute just to talk about what kind of final thoughts you have as you prepare your final push in your candidacy for City Council.
I'd be happy to. One of the hardest things that we have to do as a candidate is to not only get to the people and say, look, I'm your best person because. And inevitably, that goes to, I got the best experience, I got the most experience. Okay? But a wise person told me not too long ago that your experience is a necessity. You got to have it. But once you have that experience, it no longer becomes a big issue because now the people have to decide whether they trust you. And I'm asking the people in Liberty Lake to trust me. I've been there. I take care of you. May not be the best voice on the council, but I'm certainly the most consistent for what you need and what you want. And I thank you for it and ask you to vote.
Well, thank you, Mr. Langford, candidate for City Council.
Thank you for
number
having
4.
me.
I appreciate that. And thank you for watching this and being an active participant in democracy in action. And have a good evening.